Greetings and salutations, and welcome to episode 220 of Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry, currently running solo here on the Ref the District group, but don't worry, Trev is going to be here soon enough. And of course, Stoner is actually going to be out tonight. Don't expect him here, but do expect all the fine folks who join us here every Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern on YouTube and Facebook. Roger, Scooby, JG, we got Locked on Law, Tommy T, all in the house early, talking it up in the comment section. We appreciate you already getting there. And of course, I know those 5 or so have already hit that like button, but if you haven't, you make sure you hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, and share this so more people can join in the conversation. We've got plenty to talk about here, even if it's the off season, even if Scooby can't stay with us because we start after midnight across the pond. We appreciate you joining us here tonight. Here in the warm-up, we're going to be talking about the big guys. Should Washington draft an offensive lineman with the 29th pick? That'll be our first topic for today. During the game, we're going to be talking about sophomore slumps. Is it real? What does it look like for Jayden Daniels to have a sophomore slump? And will he succumb to it? Or how will he overcome the sophomore slump? That's all happening in the game. In the cool down, we're going to be doing some mock drafts, and I'm got it set for turbo. Old man Stoner's not here to slow us down, so we get to do a few. We're going to do a couple 2-round draft ones, trying to get through just to get to those Washington picks and not worry about anything else. That's on the docket today. Let's go on with our first topic here, which are the big guys. Now, we talked about a few on our show on Monday. Our top 5: Will Campbell, Armand Membo, Josh Simmons, Kelvin Banks Jr., Tyler Booker were the 5 that we had that we talked about on Monday. And then Gray Zabel was an also mention. I think it would be smart to invest in the offensive line for Washington, but I don't necessarily see it as a need. Let me know in the comment section right now if you feel that it's a need. We got Hermit, Rob, and Doug joining us now. So this is one of those things that I think we differ when it comes to Stoner and I, and Trev will give his opinion when he jumps in here, is that best player available or draft for need. Obviously, you try to marry the two. You want the two to get to be there together, but really, in my eyes, you should always just go for the best player available, especially when it's a clear best player available that you just need to go after the guy who 3 years down the road is a surefire starter for you. That is my opinion how the draft should be run. And I think that's where I struggle to find where Washington is in this particular situation at pick 29 is, are we really going to be, only having a best player available at 29 that's an offensive lineman? When I give you guys these particular names again, Will Campbell was average draft position at 7, Armand at 10, Josh Simmons, 21. Kelvin Banks Jr., the one I was actually most excited about, that would maybe fall into the 20s, is at 22. And then Z-Man at 28 and Booker at 31. Booker being a surefire guard. The other 4 or 5 were listed as tackles. And I just don't know that I don't know that any of these would literally be the best player available. I think when you look at the big board and you see those names that are around them, unless you're getting a Will Campbell that fell down to 29, unless you're getting an Armand Membo that falls to 29, again, those are ranked 6 and 11 actually on the big board here. I just don't know that you're really getting the best player available. Josh Simmons, he's got guys around him that, I think I would personally classify as better than him. And I think when you get to that particular way is if he maybe is the best player available, then you have to draft back. I think you have to, I think Washington is in a good spot for that too. Is if a guy like the tight end Copeland, who may fall to 29, Washington is in a great position to then get more draft assets because they don't need a tight end. They don't really want that tight end. They don't necessarily see him as a difference maker. And these offensive linemen would be the same. Is they're not a need, they're not a difference maker. So why not fall back and find you someone? There's like I said, in the offensive lineman categories here, at 29, you're not going to get a surefire left tackle. You don't need one because you have Laremy Tunsil now. I wouldn't mind one to push Brandon Coleman inside, but again, not something that you really have to go for. Looking over in the chat here, we have the other Nathan Floor saying best player available. Club saying it's not an immediate need. Hermit, best player available. Grimjaw, appreciate you jumping in tonight. Invest in the offensive line later in the draft. That's what Philly does. Now, Philly, if you look at their line, when we did the lineman chart last year, they've got a lot of second and third rounds. Washington doesn't necessarily have a lot of second and third round picks. But I do love this thinking. And actually, Philadelphia is one of those reasons why I don't mind hitting the offensive line. Our offensive line was okay. Jayden Daniels masks a lot of the deficiencies on the offensive line, though. But if you look at the run game, they weren't able to really get a big run game. And when you're talking about going up against Philly's defensive line twice a year, I personally would love if Jayden Daniels wasn't running for his life and Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler and the rookie running back that Washington's probably going to end up with, if they could run free instead of having to fight for every yard. And that's where drafting the big offensive lineman to me is the smart thing to do. Locked on Lawton saying no one knows the best player at 29. You're right. It's going to be what it comes down to. And that's why we'll do the mock draft later to see who kind of falls down to us and then see who we think is the best player available. And I think for my particular draft, if I'm still running this and Trev doesn't come in and bogart it away from me, is we're not gonna look at positions. We're not gonna be like, well, who's the best cornerback available? That's not how we're gonna do it. We're gonna look at who's the best available on the board, and that's the way we'll run with that one. Scooby, this must be a British thing. If I got a hole in my shoe and an old hat, I'm going for the shoes. So you're saying a new. You want the need rather, is what Scooby's saying. There, and this is what I was talking about before, Herman. If you need one of your best player availables, then you're good. You try to marry up best player available with need. And this is where I don't see Washington saying offensive line is a need. I think they feel that they have their 5 starters this year, but it sure would be nice to find improvements. I'm lower on Allegretti than Stoner is. I think Biotish is fine. I think he's pretty good. But I mean, I do think that you can have improvements. Wiley is getting replaced by Brandon Coleman. You don't think that maybe there's a better solution to right tackle? Or how about who's filling in for right guard? And so really, to me, there's 2 positions on the line who I would say is set, and that is Biotish and Tunsil. Outside of that, I don't see, and Sam Cosme when he's back and healthy, but I just don't see where, I don't see a world where we say that those other 3 positions on the line could not be improved. And I think that is where we want to position Washington to be better. And of course, building the trenches are pretty good. If there's another name, an offensive lineman that you think Washington should take a look at, that I should be looking for at 29, Let me know. Let me put that in the comment section, because I took the list again this time from Stoner, and he gave me those 6 names and I racked and stacked them. I kind of like doing it that way here. I'm going to take a look at the big board right now, and I'm going to see who we might have missed that is listed. I guess Josh Connerly Jr. out of Oregon is a tackle junior, 6'4", 315 pounds. Says here he has very good movement skills for a player who also brings adequate size plus length to the tackle position. His game can lack some anticipation and strength, but if he continues to improve in those areas, he holds the skill set to be a reliable NFL starter and one who could be impactful for zone blocking schemes. Great scores the last 2 years there, and Oregon, of course, Oregon doing a good, having a good season this year. And then Donovan Jackson would be another one. Those ranked, by the way, 36 and 49. Donovan Jackson, not the flashiest player, but his footwork, technique, and leadership give him day one starter potential. One of the other issues I have here for this particular draft class, none of them are like last year's draft class where you had some bona fide studs in that one. In fact, every single one here mentioned so far, I personally don't consider as a left tackle. And then if you're, in fact, I think a lot of these guys are going to be moving into guard. And then you're talking positional value. Do you spend a first rounder on a guard? I definitely wouldn't spend a first rounder on Tyler Booker or Gray Z. That's just not where my head's at. I like Kelvin Banks Jr., who may be available. That gives us another, and you move him to left guard for Allegretti. I think that would be an improvement. I think there's some good things there, but I don't necessarily see him as going to be the best player available for Washington. I feel like he is expected to be there, and I think there's going to be a couple surprises in the thing. And Hermit agreeing with me that they're going to be guards. Uptown Dre, GM AP will evaluate all his options and what's best for our team. He knows we need more draft capital. This is a big one, Uptown Dre, because Stoner has been getting into the fact that they said one thing, we're going to build through the draft, but here they are taking draft capital and getting other players. And so he feels they're not drafting, or they're not trying to build this team through the draft. And I do feel we're going to see some moving around when it comes to Adam Peters and looking to do that. But the board has to fall that particular way. And I think that's the thing that's going to end up happening, is where the board falls will determine what Washington is going to do. Paul here, appreciate you joining tonight. What is the drop in talent edge between 29 and 61? We need a guy who can get sacks, and I think that is a factor unless there's a player who they feel should have been gone. The edges we took a look at, and there's some good names that should be available at 29. There's a couple of names that we feel we're very excited at 29, and we'll see when we get to the mock draft of whether or not those names will be there. That is a big one, edge, and that would be a need over necessarily best player available. JG saying a lot of these certified stud left tackles from last year were pretty disappointing. Only Alt lived up to expectations. And JG, that's what I'm kind of talking about. Last year's draft class was supposed to be a studded left tackle class. And left tackle's a hard position to learn. And now you got a lesser class coming in with a bunch of guys who are either going to be moved to the right side or who are going to have to be moved inside. And that just spells to me not what you should be going for. And Locked on Law here, you're going to lose value trading back from 29. I don't know that you're going to lose value because you're going to gain picks. What you're going to lose is a premium first rounder. Okay. But when you look at trading back, and we have that chart from a couple weeks ago where you can get equal value or better value, but it'll be later in the draft. Now, that comes with risk. You're talking about, at pick 29, you maybe have like a 50% success rate with that pick. Well, when you trade back, we'll say to 41, your percentage drops probably down to like 43% success rate on that pick. So it kind of goes back and forth with that, where you get more shots at the dartboard, but they're all still, you're not sure what you're going to get. You're not sure what it's going to get. And yes, those numbers are fudged. 29% of all statistics are made up on the spot. So just note that those were just kind of running there. I appreciate Hermit, by the way, him and I both connecting on the 29% there. Appreciate you, Trey, coming in here from Central Florida. We appreciate all of our people coming in. Let's move on from the offensive lineman, because it seems like nobody is interested in any particular offensive line. And Club, I guess we'll answer this question first here from Club 100. Why are we worried about the O-line? Again, 2 positions on the O-line, Club, I think are fine, are good, and you're probably not going to really improve them. I think 3 other positions on the line, Sam Cosmi notwithstanding, Sam Cosmi healthy, that's 3 positions on the line that you have surefire guys on. But left guard and right tackle, I feel like we can improve. And right guard right now, who's filling in for Sam Cosmi is going to more than likely be Wiley. And you're telling me you don't feel like we can improve on Wiley at guard? There's definitely room for improvement, and you try to win those small things, because the better your offensive line is, the better your offense is going to be. And if the better the offense is going to be, then you're not going to have to worry about a sophomore slump from your star-studded QB, Jayden Daniels. And that's going to be our conversation coming up here in the game. Why don't you stick with us? Welcome to the game here on Ref the District. It's Sophomore Slump. Can JD avoid the curse? Here for our topic on episode 220. Appreciate those nice, wonderful segue givers you guys give me. Easy, nice job for me to be able to do there. Let's break it down first and foremost. One, I wanted to look to see whether or not sophomore slump is an actual thing, because we always talk about it, but does it actually exist? Are more players in their sophomore season finding that their stats or some play has been diminished? Well, according to a Harvard sports analysis, that actually does exist. This was done in December of 2019 by Harvard Sports. And it was talking about how sophomore slump does in fact actually exist, and that QBs specifically will see a dip in their play, often decreased by 2-ish%, but then see a rise in the 3rd year. In fact, they actually did this for multiple positions, and there's going to be multiple positions seeing that slump in their sophomore season, but a jump in the 3rd season. So it says here, if the rookies tend to show a decline in performance on average between 3 and 12% across all positions in their 2nd season. However, most display rebound performance in subsequent seasons. So kind of keep that in mind, maybe the year after next, if we do see a sophomore slump here. And now that we know that sophomore slump is a thing that exists, Harvard stamped, it exists. Hermit is right here. We need to find what sophomore slump is, because one of the things that I think was overblown last year was CJ Stroud having a sophomore slump. Now, statistically, we did see a decline in some of his passing stats. But when you're looking at the box score, it's different than when looking at the tape. And so are we going to say that a sophomore slump is purely statistical? Or is it going to be more of that eye test? Does he still look the part? Is he struggling to learn things that maybe he was having an easier time with in his rookie year? Because if we're going to go with the stats, which I think most people would consider a slump, then I hate to tell you, but I don't know how Jayden Daniels is going to avoid having a sophomore slump. His rookie year was off the charts, not just for rookies, but even statistically for veteran QBs. He wasn't playing like a rookie QB. He was playing like a vet, and he was putting up vet-like numbers. And to expect him to put up, what was it, 2-3 games we didn't punt? Like for the first 5 games, we had 2 punts. I mean, that's insane. And I think that him keeping up those kind of statistics would be equally very difficult to have that be there. Locked on Law here. Sophomore slump means they have film on you now and you have to adjust. Nathan saying 5 is too focused. JD 5 here. I believe slumps come from distractions from being in the NFL. Again, Nathan says Harvard says most do in fact slump. Scooby, mind you, I could deal with a slump, which I don't think will happen, but I couldn't deal with an injury. So maybe they're right with the offensive line. There you go. Have to take that offensive line. One of the things I found also interesting when I was doing the research for today's topic was how many times I found that someone had a sophomore slump only to find out that they were dealing with injuries. They didn't play a full season due to injuries, or their play was impacted due to injuries. And I will for certain say I would not consider a sophomore slump an injury-riddled season or a season that's impacted by injury. I feel like that is ridiculous to put that kind of stipulation on there as far as that's concerned. Tommy says here he wants to go with the eye test for whether or not Jayden Daniels is slumping. And then I'm going to go back to CJ Stroud here because I feel like that was a situation in Houston where CJ Stroud, his eye test to me, when I saw Houston games, when I was watching Texan games, he didn't look like he was slumping. But when you look at the stats, he was throwing for 60 less yards. Trev here jumping in back from the soccer game. We appreciate you, Trev, jumping on here. We got a lot of nice vocal people here as we moved on from the offensive line. Now we're talking about sophomore slump.
Yeah.
Catching you up, Trev. Harvard.
Yep.
Sophomore slump's a real deal.
Yes.
Rookies experience 3 to 12% decline in their sophomore seasons, but they bounce back in their third year. That's from Harvard. So we know it exists. So now we're trying to define what would a sophomore slump look like for Jayden Daniels, and how do you base it off of? Are you going to base it off of stats, Trev, or are you going to base it off of the eye test?
I'm going to base it off the eye test. I mean, the dude won Rookie of the Week, Pepsi Rookie of the Week, every single week of the NFL season last year. The kid won Offensive Rookie of the Year in the league last year. The kid took a 4-13 franchise along with some other new parts to the NFC Championship. A lot of rookie quarterbacks don't do that. If they do, I can't remember. I might be mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so I was thinking about this earlier when I saw the topic that we were talking about it. His sophomore slump might be different than the average sophomore slump just because of how he outperformed pretty much every other quarterback besides Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen in the league this year. So I think his sophomore slump would be maybe more picks, maybe forcing things a little bit more than he did, maybe doing something completely different than what he showed from his rookie season. It's really hard to say how a sophomore slump would look like for this kid because he set the bar so high for rookies now, especially rookie quarterbacks, that if he had a sophomore slump, we might win the Super Bowl. But a sophomore slump could be he threw more interceptions than touchdowns this year, or he threw for less yards this year, or ran for less yards this year. So it's really, really hard for this guy to have a sophomore slump. I mean, it's not hard, but it's hard to decide what it could be like because of, like I said, of what he just did this past season.
Yeah, I think where we're really kind of in line with this one is where Gus is coming from. Gus, appreciate you jumping on tonight. Was Jayden's rookie year really sustainable though? You need to provide a controlled baseline for measurement. And I agree, because this is a situation here where he was off the charts. And if you're looking at statistically, like, I mean, this guy was, an EPA and all those fancy, analytics you can look at. He was top right. He's Mr. Top right in everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if he stays in the top right, how much of a slump would you give him if he stays in the top right for all of the NFL, not just rookies again, all of the NFL, he was Mr. Top right. And I just feel like it's one of those things where you can't really take a look. JG here, JD5 had his sophomore slump during that 3-game losing streak last year. And most believe that was injury related. I do think it was injury related, JG.
Yeah,
I think it was very
too.
clearly his ribs were bothering him, and he didn't look the same and he didn't play the same. So one thing I spoke about, Trev, before you came on was I would not consider this next season to be a sophomore slump if it's injury based. If he misses like 3 or 4 games, or he has another, like a rib injury that affects his play, I don't consider that a sophomore slump. Is that something you differ on?
Oh, for sure, because he can't control that. Injuries happen, and he can't control how severe or how not severe they do happen. So, yeah, I agree. That's not a sophomore slump. Completely healthy season and poor play, sophomore slump, but not because of injury. That's not fair.
Yeah, I don't think it's the right way to judge him if there's an injury, or any player really. You can't do that. And Doug here chiming in. Thank you, Doug. Some underwhelming stats games are the best performances. And I feel like that happened a couple times for him, where he had statistically not a great game, but when you actually watch the game, he just didn't make mistakes. He didn't do anything wrong. And this is where I feel like we're going to run into the issue nationally with the fact that we're going to see his stats decline in some areas. Maybe he's not gonna light the world on fire the way he did his rookie year. And people are automatically, like they did CJ Stroud, just say, oh, well, he's slumping. He's throwing for 60 yards less. Houston's line was garbage. And if the team around Jayden Daniels isn't as good as they need to be, people are going to put that on Jayden Daniels. And that also seems like an unfair assessment. I think Trev's working on getting his audio and stuff working. So we're gonna let him work on that and then come back here. One of the things that gets this topic brought up, it was actually something we brought up last week that decided we were going to talk about this week, is, funny enough, an NFL exec the week after, or the day after the show, had the same kind of sentiment that he put out to The Athletic, and that this team right now is not being built through the draft like Stoner would like to see. It's being built to win now. Well, the pressure now becomes on Jayden Daniels to not have a sophomore slump and not have that issue, because now you have a bunch of aging vets again who might not live up to the way that they played in years past. And you have this issue of not having, a really star-studded offensive line or a star-studded defense that can keep the offense on the field. You're going to run into those issues. And I feel that might be one of those things that we'll keep a lookout here. Trev, I'm going to mute you because your mic is popping here as I go through some of our comment sections here. Paul saying the one stat at risk to drop is his completion percentage. I do feel that this is going to be interesting, Paul, to see which of his stats increase and which of them decrease. And then how do you determine, are you going to go off of QBR? Are you going to go off QB rating? Are you going to go off of a PFF score when it comes to whether or not he is slumping or not? Because what if his completion percentage drops to 3%, but his passing yards per game goes up 50%? Is that better or worse? Is that slumping or is that keeping the status quo? Let me know here whether or not you consider what stats the most important and which way you would go with that one. Luis, I just hope to improve on run stat not being 80% JD5 improv runs each game. Amen, Luis. Let's not have that happen again. I feel that if Jayden Daniels returns next season as our top rusher, and most of those rushes coming in, the scramble drill, I feel like we haven't grown as an offense. And I feel that is a problem.
That's a huge problem.
Trev, welcome back. Good audio this time. We appreciate you. Scooby missing out on the good Trev audio as he heads to bed over there across the pond. While I wait for a couple more comments on that question, Trev, could you answer that for me? Which stats are the most important? Which ones are you looking to see him raise so that way that's not where he's slumping?
Wow. Quarterback stat. Protecting the ball. Interceptions. I don't remember how many he had, but some interceptions. And then I don't know, man. The dude was pretty much perfect. He could, I guess, deciding when to run and when not to run.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he kind of forced it a little bit last year. Like he didn't really have to run. Like some routes take longer to develop. And I know, yes, our offensive line was kind of whatever a little bit last year, and he had to. But sometimes I feel like he didn't give the play a chance to develop and just took off rather than sitting there holding firm in the pocket and letting things happen downfield.
Yeah. Doug here, if he throws the ball away instead of taking those short losses, then okay on the completion percentage dropping, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to have a sub 70, game completion percentage. If instead of a -1, loss of 1 yard, it's an incomplete pass, right? Those are okay. Gus posing this question. If JD5 kind of answering the question of which stats are more important and how to get there, if JD5 goes 5 for 5 on a drive that ends in a missed field goal, or would you take 3 for 6 on a touchdown drive? Which is better?
Give me 3 for 6. I don't care.
Yeah, the TD is by far the more important thing. Trevor, the other Trevor here saying pick turnover ratio, or maybe TD ratio is more important here. That turnover ratio is going to be important. We don't want to see the turnovers rise. Dak Prescott is considered to have a sophomore slump largely because of the fact that his turnovers increased. And the turnover battle is super important for winning football games. So that makes sense that you wouldn't want to see turnovers increasing. And that would be a slumping stat if we do see it increase. Stoner messaged me, he by the way, earlier today when he was doing some research, and he said RG3 might be the poster child for sophomore slumps. And he's not wrong when you look at it. RG3 went from statistically one of the best rookie seasons and efficiency and everything like that to a really bad sophomore year. I, again, don't believe Jayden Daniels is going to have that issue, but it's interesting that Washington has some familiarity with a QB having that kind of a slump. Hermit saying it comes down to wins and losses. Gus here. Dak had a ridiculous touchdown interception ratio his rookie year, though. He absolutely did. Perfectly
Good
understand.
point. Good point.
It's the RG3s was injury related. I get this.
Yeah.
Grimjaw, apples, oranges. I got it. Stoner wanted to bring it up because he legit RG3, injury or no injury. RG3 was a very different QB his sophomore season.
Yeah,
you cannot deny that he was not the same QB, largely due to injury, but I also think mentally, and I think he would agree, mentally it was a different game for him, and he just wasn't ready for that. And I think that's where, when we get to the side of the conversation on how Jayden Daniels avoids it, I think number one is he stays mentally ready. The guy only thinks about football, Trev.
I know.
The guy's mom only wants him to think about football.
I know.
Yeah. So how do you feel Jayden Daniels is going to avoid the slump? What do you feel that he has in his back pocket as he's preparing himself, trying to change his game? How do you feel that Jayden Daniels is going to avoid it?
He's got this, man, and I know it's kind of vague, and for the audio listeners, I'm pointing to my head for brain. I know it's kind of vague and cliche to say that, but he's got like a Peyton Manning mind. He's got like a Tom Brady mentality. Like, this kid, like you said, it's all about football. He doesn't want to go out and do the recreational things that successful rookies would do in the league. He's not on all these commercials. He's not out in the news for racing sports cars. He's not he went to a Wale concert, cool, but looked like he didn't even want to be there. He looked so awkward being there. Like, he just wants to be around sports and football, especially. And I think he's seen enough football in his life and enough rookie successes that turn to slumps. Like, I'm not like Baker Mayfield. Yes, he's a quarterback, but he was number one pick. But he's been through some teams, and now he's starting to get his career back again. Andrew Luck, same thing. Early pick. Now he's retired already. Chase Young, early pick. He's on another contract in another team. So I think he's got the brains to study, like, don't lose focus. If you want these 9, 7, 8 rings that Tom Brady and Pat Mahomes, everybody has, then you just focus on football. Literally, just your life is football. You wake up, you go to sleep, you poop, you pee, you eat football. Everything you do is football. And I think he's built that way because his maturity level. He's shown that all year that he's been here before.
Mm-hmm. So I'm quickly going through. You listed off a few different names there that I was kind of interested in seeing how their sophomore seasons went. And if you consider Jayden Daniels to be the next big quarterback, the next Pat Mahomes, the next Josh Allen, the next Joe Burrow, he's being put into that echelon right now of those good quarterbacks. If you consider him a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, all those QBs saw some significant improvement in year 2. Now, Pat Mahomes is a little different because he only played 2 games his rookie year. Then he throws for 50 touchdowns his sophomore year. His third year, he only threw 26 touchdowns, I think it was, but he had single-digit interceptions. So there was some give and take there as far as those scenarios, and of course, Kansas City still winning games and everything like that. It just seems to me that is the kind of player Washington has, and that player would avoid those issues. Because when you're looking at some of the QBs that we've mentioned so far, they all have different things. Baker Mayfield was one of the ones that was listed in the Sophomore Slump 2019 Harvard study. And he will tell you that he wasn't all thinking about all football. When you got RG3, there was a lot of that persona that he had to put on. Dak Prescott was a later round pick. He wasn't a top talent. And I think that all things kind of point to Jayden Daniels, maybe not statistically having some of the better, some better stats. There's going to be some stats that are going to decrease, but he's going to maintain Mr. Top Right status because he puts so much in the game. I think that is why and how he will avoid that.
Bro, he's going to win the offseason. That's his. I think that's his. He's that kind of player. He wants to win everything, including the offseason. So I feel like he's going to attack the offseason like it's in season. That way, the results will reap itself.
A couple comments coming up on the mom front here. Locked on Law. Juju is calling, but mom blocked her. I'm pretty sure I read Juju is actually a cousin of Jayden Daniels, so I don't know that there's any romantic link there. But there is one. Bobby Boucher's mother was thinking about foosball.
Exactly.
Gus asking, this is nationally, right? Anyone else surprised Jayden Daniels hasn't been in more commercials?
Kinda. Not really though, but
I don't know that I feel like he has I don't feel like he has the vibe for commercial.
No. I don't think so either.
Well, I guess that's partially because I think Trev, what I think about him, I think about when the camera gets put on him, he's business.
Yeah,
he's just business. He's not fun.
No,
he's having fun on the field. He's having fun when he looks like you right now, where he's got his headphones on, he's spitting that basketball pregame, and he's in the zone. He's loose. And that's when but like every time, even when he goes out to these concerts, he's, taking these pictures or doing these things, he always just looks so stiff to me.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem natural.
No.
When the spotlight is on him, not football wise.
The only realist I've seen him off camera, I guess not football wise, was the draft where he was, let's go. Like that was like real. But other than that, it's always like, even in his press conferences during the week of practice, he's just like, yeah, so I really just stick to what I do. And he's boring. He's not eccentric. He's not flashy, but he is on that field. Definitely on that field.
Yeah, when he's on the field, he's a completely different person.
It's like Clark Kent and Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, off the field, he's boring, nerdy, studying film, doing the VR thing, hanging out with his mom and mama's kid. As soon as that is game day on Sunday, puts that cape on, and we in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, wow. Doug calling him low key JD. JG here saying this is why Jayden is less likely to slump. His focus is entirely on football and not his brand or social media presence. You don't see him out there. You might see something like he has the picture of the Hail Mary out there in Paris and the Louvre. Those are kind of fun things, but he's not, I feel like we all see his character coming through the way that it's presented to us, which is that he's all football all the time.
Yeah.
And he might not be that way all the time, but that's how we get it presented to us. And one of the things that I feel like he's going to be better. Grimjaw disagreeing with us, by the way. I don't know what you guys are talking about. All the JD interviews in Super Bowl week were great. Go back and watch the Mentalist one, by the way.
Yeah.
The one that the guy picks out LeBron's name out of his hat. And tell me that Jayden Daniels doesn't look uncomfortable sitting on that couch. Tell me. I get it. It was fun. It was fun because the people around him, he himself was awkward.
Yeah.
When he was getting those awards and when they were talking to him, he on the podcast, I don't think that he loosens up a lot. I feel like he does feel like he has to be a little bit more together, right? I think that the pressure's different for him because it's not something that maybe comes as natural as throwing the football.
I mean, what average rookie quarterback taking a bum team that won 4 games last year in the middle of a ownership change, year before last, staff change, roster change, and you go to the NFC Championship and you are barely like you barely even really remember it because it was like it was another game. You know what I mean? He's treating like it was just another game. He's not out here like, I was the NFC Championship. I took this team from nothing to something. He's not in the camera. He's not in the headlines. He's not commercials. He's just makes you forget that we were in the NFC Championship just a few months ago. Literally, we were planning to go to the Super Bowl, and he has made us as a fan base kind of not even, harp on that right now. It's kind of like a thing in the past for real. Like we've been here before.
On the slump part, we haven't been here in a long time, Trev.
No, I know.
We haven't been here in a long, long time, and we hope to get back there. But we can't have Jayden Daniels falling back. Okay. Deluxe here saying stats will fluctuate year over year for all QBs based on situation. Did Brady slump after Moss left? Why is slump only referred to the sophomore season? It's just a narrative to talk about. Well, Deluxe, as I mentioned, Harvard did the study, and statistically speaking, you do have rookies dropping back on average 3 to 12%. It's just facts. It's just facts. Now, there will be some differences. And one of the things that Gus is bringing up is we're bringing back the band. The other division winners all lost their offensive coordinators. Jayden Daniels did not. Cliff Kingsbury comes back. You get some extra power. You got Laremy Tunsil over at left tackle. And JG here asking, so do you see Debo recapturing his old form, at least better than 2024? Same for Gallup and Osborne. All three of those, but mostly the latter two, are big question marks in my mind. And these are the guys that we need. This is where that exec was talking about, Trev, we need these guys to not look like they're bad forms. We need them to look like they're good forms.
Yeah.
And now we have to believe Jayden Daniels is going to bring it out. But do you see any of these players coming back and being better than what we've seen in the last couple of years?
Jury's still out on KJ Osborne because we signed him with like maybe 5 or 6 weeks left off the waivers or whatever, 7 weeks left. And he got game action a little bit, maybe a couple targets, but really wasn't a contributing factor for us. So jury's still out for him. Michael Gallup. I feel that any younger player that comes out of retirement motivated to play has give him a chance, give him a shot. I'd rather give him more of a shot than KJ Osborne because we've seen KJ Osborne be semi-productive or in Minnesota days, but ever since then he's kind of fell off, and now he's looking for teams, waivers and this and that. Deebo Samuel, yes, he knew he was going to get traded. He asked to be traded. And his top two teams one of them was Washington. And they said, why? It's because they're winners. And all it took was one season, ladies and gentlemen. We've been playing Deebo Samuel for a long time. Hell, he took Trent Williams from us and been playing with Trent Williams longer than for us. And this man saw what we did in 1 year and said, we're winners. So he's heard all the talk about he's fat. He's heard all the talk that he's injury prone. Now he's in, he got paid by us. Rightfully so. And now he's extra motivated because he's on a team that just won the NFC Championship. And he's kind of used to being there, to be honest, coming from San Francisco, if not the championship, at least in the playoffs all the time. So, yeah, I think we get a motivated Debo. I think we get a motivated Michael Gallup because Michael Gallup was kind of nice in Dallas. I'm not going to lie. He was a pretty good receiver. He was okay. He was nice number 2, number 3. Better than Noah Brown, maybe. But anyway.
Reminds me actually a lot of Noah Brown in a lot of sense, where it's just kind of like a guy whose name you're familiar with, but maybe not someone you're scared of.
Nah, but we'll see. So yes, definitely Debo. I'm kind of high on Michael Gallup, but KJ Osborne, I still don't understand why we even re-signed him after he didn't do anything for us. I don't know, but that was a puzzling off-season move for me. I was like, why are we doing this again with him?
I think it'll make that's going to go one of two ways for you, Trev. Either KJ Osborne is going to show out why he was kept, or he's going to continue confounding you. Like he's just like, you're just going to be like, I have no clue why this guy's on the roster spot. There's no in between. There's no going out there and catching like 3 catches for 33 yards and you going, huh? It's either he's going to be like a number 2, number 3 guy, or he's just non-existent. There's no in between.
Yep. I think I saw a Rio tweet that either Michael Gallup or KJ Osborne is I just lost it. Oh, this year's Martavius Bryant.
Oh, yeah. A Gallup is 100%. All those excited for Martavius Bryant, that to me is Gallup is the redux. It's let's do this dance again and take a wide receiver who hasn't played in a while.
I know.
But
Why do we do that?
Familiar. Now, I wonder if we weren't. I wonder if it wasn't Michael Gallup. Pick another wide receiver 3 or 4 from the AFC that that didn't play football last year, and you put them on this team. Are fans really that excited? Are people getting excited because they remember, as you remember, Gallup, catching passes against us? Because I guarantee you, if this was like some like Jets 4th stringer, no one cares. No one cares if this was the Broncos 5th stringer from 2 years ago.
Little Jordan Humphreys or whatever, like that guy.
Yeah. No one cares. But because it's Gallup, a guy who has several catches against this team. Yes. It's going to be that's the reason why he's getting it there. And yes, we still have Noah Brown. McCaffrey is a question. I think that the keeping Cliff Kingsbury, I think keeping some of these key parts and increasing in areas, left tackle, so the pass protection's better. Getting a wide receiver like Debo who can help out his QB and also take pressure off of Terry, which would help our QB. I don't think the route running is there for Debo, but I think the special playmaking is there from Debo, and they think that's what's good. If one of these guys can get into a solid route runner who just always finds themselves open, that would be key, because then it would just that's the guy. I think Jayden Daniels, he's going to get those home runs, but then when he starts just taking what the defense is giving him, which is something that he's very good at, that's where I feel like these guys will start to shine.
Debo is upping our screen game. Cliff Kingsbury loves calling screens. And now we don't have to worry about sending Diami out there. We have to worry about sending Terry out there. Different coaching staff. We were sending tight ends out there catching screens. But now we got a certified screen guy. So that's pretty much. If he can just do that, I don't need him to run routes. I don't need you to be Debo from 5 years. I need you to be the screen guy, the jet sweep guy, the short intermediate route guy. That's cool. But you ain't got to be the home run hitter like you used to be. You're old.
Be good on the scramble. That's what you need, right? When things break down against Philadelphia, find that sweet spot, get out of Guantanamo Bay, and find that hole, and do some good things for Washington. Ooh. That's what we're hoping about here.
Nathan, you see this comment from Deluxe? Check this out. Read that out loud.
Gallup, Brown, and Osborne combined for over 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns in prior 4 years. That's decent wide receiver production for the room. I don't hate it, Deluxe. I think Gallup is probably not going to – the Gallup's my least excited. Yeah. I'm not excited over Gallup. Noah Brown's okay, and KJ Osborne, I feel, at least is somebody who plays differently than the others.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're shaping up to have a decent wide receiver room. And one of the things that I'm big on is I don't think that you need, if you're going to bolster the offense, they could use a home run running back. Okay. That part I would agree with. But don't spend money on a big wide receiver. Jayden Daniels is going to get a lot of these guys paid over the next 10 years. We're going to be the wide receiver factory. Only we're not. You're going to have guys who are you're going to have the Scantlings. You're going to have name some other KC offense, right? Those guys
DeMarcus Robinsons.
Nobody really wants them, but they did good for Kansas City, and that's where Washington's going to be. We're going to get Noah Brown. He's going to have another good year, a wide receiver 2-esque year, wide receiver 3-esque year, and he's going to get paid somewhere. Probably not here. because Washington will probably try to find his replacement. But yeah, Kadarius Toney. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
There's Uptown Dre here. Oh, we didn't even talk about this. This happened this past week here, Trev. Wes Welker, welcome to the team.
Yeah,
Uptown Dre say Wes Welker will do wonders for our wide receivers. Debo could get a revelation with Wes McCaffrey, should improve dramatically.
Ooh, that makes sense. Same body type. I mean, body styles, body type, same position, probably in that little slot.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's too early to talk about it, but somebody's getting cut out of that wide receiver room, maybe even two. Right? Outside of Terry and Debo, you got Noah, KJ, Luke McCaffrey, Michael Gallup. Then they bring back somebody from the practice.
Jamison Crowder and
Jamison Crowder
Allen, I think, is
Kaz Allen. Yeah. So
yeah. I will say there's 3 locks in my opinion. Terry McLaurin, Debo,
and Luke McCaffrey.
And Luke McCaffrey. Like those are the locks. Outside of that, and Luke is honestly by virtue of being a draft pick last year.
Right. And he might
potential.
Yeah, punt returning. He was doing a lot of that. Maybe he's doing more of that this year.
Yeah, the kick returning. He looked really good on kick returning. So much so they stopped kicking the ball to him. I think you saw early on when he started off kickoff duties, they were testing him out, and then towards the end of the season, they were like, don't kick it to that guy.
Yeah.
He's going to run it out regardless, and he's going to pick up the 30 yards. Like,
exactly.
Fate. Yeah, he looked so close to breaking it out there, 100%. Paul saying, truthfully, Luke McCaffrey jump needs to be more important than the lower slotted wide receiver. No disagreement here, Paul. I was really disappointed in Luke's kind of development over the course of the season. Excited about the kickoff return, but I feel like with him being drafted with Jayden Daniels, I want to see those two grow together. And I want to see Luke McCaffrey develop into a wide receiver 3. That's all I'm asking.
Right, please.
That's all I'm asking. He has some great stats, some athletic skill that he could be, up there with some of those upper echelon wide receivers. But at pick 100, I expect him to do a little bit more than what he wants. But JG, you're saying a huge amount of the fan base expects us to draft a wide receiver as well. We'll check on that here in a moment because we've got our Ref the District. That's right. Mock Draft 2.0. Make sure you stick with us here on Ref the District. Join us in the cool down. Welcome to the cool down here on Ref the District. It is no more talking about the sophomore slump. We're talking about who's going to come out here and help Washington. We're going to be doing mock draft here in the cool down here as we're getting closer and closer and closer to the draft. Now, Trev.
Yep.
Stoner's an old man. He can't read really well. Right. So he asked me to slow things down, and he kind of wanted to go through like individual picks and players who are gone. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I got it set here. I'm gonna add it to the stage. We're gonna watch it here. I'll get our Texas man off your face here as well. I have it set to. I'll go fast. I won't go turbo.
Right.
I'll be honest. I just want to pick the best player available for Washington. I did, because we're doing it very quickly. We're all 7 rounds, but I would like to get through a couple of these. All right.
Okay.
So without further ado, we're only picking for Washington. We're looking to make the best picks, and we're going to see where things land. We're not going to be like, oh, the Giants took a guy that we don't want them to take. Like, I don't care about them. Screw the G-men. Let's start this draft and find out where Washington's going to be picking.
I knew they would take Shedeur number 2.
Oh yeah, it's going to happen. And maybe we'll go back up and we'll talk about who's there. Already, I see who I'm taking. No questions asked.
I know.
Right before Washington was picking, so Tyler Booker did go and pick 25. He was mentioned here in our offensive line. Kelvin Banks Jr. And this is something that Stoner brought up last week when it came to the draft. Is once one player goes like of a certain position, all of a sudden there's a run. So Josh Simmons, Kelvin Banks, Tyler Booker. Booker went a little bit ahead of schedule, but that's because offensive linemen started going there. Easy edge out of Boston College went pick 16. That was a guy that
Shamar Stewart went 14. Damn.
Yeah. So, but all that to be said, Trev, James Pierce Jr. is right here.
Yeah, go get him.
Tennessee. I don't think there's a reason to go back.
Oh no. I don't even know who Siobhan Revel is.
Siobhan Revel, he was mentioned in our cornerbacks. But none of these guys here are exciting, in my opinion. And neither is who took Stoner's guy.
Who was
Stoner's
that?
guy is not listed here. Maybe am I missing him?
What's his name?
Maybe I'm missing him. It was the safety out of. Am I missing him? Safety out of South Carolina.
Georgia? Oh.
Demetrius Knight, no. All right. Moving forward. We're not gonna lay on here. I'm gonna give you the trade scenarios because these you can't see here. There's 5 teams willing to trade. The New York Giants at pick 34, Miami Dolphins at 48. I'm not going to list the last 3. They're too far away. Picks 51, 54, and 59.
Okay.
So I think those are fine. First one, we're just going to take the guy.
Yep.
All right. Maybe next time we'll go. Tommy T asking, do you think Pierce will have a commander tag?
What?
Do you think James Pierce Jr. will have that commander tag?
Sure.
I don't know.
I don't know
like
either.
him personally. Thanks for everyone. Nick E was Iman Wari was the pick that Stoner said you run, and
he must be already picked.
And it looks. I don't see him, but we're
interesting.
Yeah. So, but I do like James Pierce Jr. I think that's a solid pick for Washington. Ranked here 23rd, average draft position 25. You're picking 29. Seems like a no-brainer. We're going to take James Pierce Jr. and make it all the way down. There's Nicky. Someone finally took him. And so now we're back on the clock.
61.
And Benjamin Morris how fortuitous is this? Now, Stoner's not a big Notre Dame guy.
Right.
So
Travion Henderson sitting there.
Are you gonna go running back this early? This is such a deep running back draft that you can wait. You can wait. I think you're gonna find some good running backs later on. I don't mind Benjamin Morrison unless you guys I
really don't know much about
the Grimjaw. Thanks. I forgot about that. Pierce has some character concerns. Maybe not the pick there. Injury worries with Morrison. Okay. All right. Pierce and Morrison would be similar to Philadelphia drafting Mitchell and Deshaun last year.
All right, go take Benjamin Morrison. Do it.
I'm good with that. We're moving on. We're still far enough out where positions are probably more important than players.
Let's get a corner right now if we can, you think? Or should we go running back right now?
We just took a corner. And we're not thinking maybe we should go turbo. We're going to go turbo. On the pick, 128. Is this where we take a
Trevor Etienne?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like I don't know these wide receivers. I know this one. We'll do that. There's your home run running back.
We'll take it.
There's your home run running back. Moving quickly through. We only have picks 205, 245 left. Like I said, I really want to get through a couple of these today. Just to kind of help move things. We're moving closer and closer to the draft. We will be live for the first round of the draft. We might not have a pick in the first round, but we'll be there. It's going to be a very long night for us. We're going to have to figure it out. Uptown Trey giving us the thumbs down. Didn't like the pick. A couple people shouting out for Williams after the fact. Uptown saying redraft, just throw it out the deal here. Kyle Williams apparently getting a lot of eyes on him right now, which is why he looks like he's fan favorite right now. Right now on the board, we have wide receivers again: Mumfield, Brown, Thornton Jr., Andrew Armstrong, and a Gator and Badger. Yeah, we're definitely not taking QB. These are all best players.
Jimmy Horn Jr. Go get Jimmy Horn Jr.
You want Jimmy Horn Jr.?
Yeah, I do.
This is like so far back here. Like you're
he's pick 205.
Pick 205.
He's
why are you big on Jimmy Horn Jr. here?
Because he was pretty good at Colorado. And he's Jimmy Horn's son. Jimmy Horn was pretty decent receiver in the league for the Saints.
Now here's a guy. Don't even have summaries on him. 5'10", pass. Pass.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for you to see the stats.
Pass. Let's check out Mumfield here from Pittsburgh. First look tells me he's 6'1".
Nah. Pittsburgh though.
Samuel Brown. Thornton. What's that? Dante Thornton?
Yeah, check his stats real quick.
He's 6'5".
6'5". Yep, go get him.
All right, we're drafting size here. We're drafting size here. Tommy T gave us the go ahead. Thornton, wide receiver, absolutely drafting that one.
Yep, he's our DK Metcalf.
I don't know at pick 205.
Not skill wise,
anything whatsoever.
Size maybe, but maybe not skill.
Uptown Dre went with Thornton as well there. Gus asking to trade down, get next year's. Yeah, maybe next time.
Mumfield's still there.
Mumfield is still. There must be an issue with Mumfield if he's still there. See, I'm telling you, there's some running backs here that you're gonna be able to sneak a running back late. I don't mind NTN. I don't. I like that pick, but you're going to be able to sneak a wide receiver late. I think that here's probably somewhere where you do just grab something that's a developmental. Clay Webb, guard, or linebacker, Madrano are fine. Here you go. Get Garrett Dellinger out of LSU, a guard. Solid, big guy. Develops, played with Jayden. Taking him. 245.
Yeah, we'll take it. Not a bad draft, if you ask me.
Not a bad. Earned a reward for it.
Look at that.
A minus, A, B plus.
Oh, let's
overall,
go.
A. We scored really well. Here.
We got our edge. We got our corner. We got our home run running back. We got our tall receiver. That's not a bad.
I don't feel like this is a bad draft for us at all. I feel like this is a good one. Let's run it back. New mock, 7 rounds. It's all set up here. We're going with the public board. Enter the draft. It's on turbo.
Let's do it.
Mid-draft, OG? Calling it a mid-draft? Why was it mid-draft? Seems like I'm going mid now. The problem is JG, when you get to those late rounds, the buckets are bigger, right? So here in the early rounds, the difference between getting a Luther Burden III, who's ranked 14, and an Omarion Hampton, who's ranked 24, that's a very large gap. But when you're talking about two guys that are both in the 200s, those are like bucket E guys, and there's a lot of bucket E guys. Oh man, I don't like any of these names. This is definitely where I would trade back. Maybe somebody wants Burden here. So Kansas City wants to take him. That's only moving back 2 picks.
2 spots. Of course, Kansas City wants him. He'll shine.
The Dolphins and the Bengals. Let's try Kansas City. I'm gonna see if I can't quickly find my that draft chart again, because I think that draft chart really does shine and help when it comes to this trade backs from 29. 100% feel like this is a trade back situation for Washington. You don't want Burden, and you feel like you can get your guy somewhere else, right? So if Kansas City's trading it, they'll give us pick 31, moving 2 spots, and give us the 4th rounder. So we give up 29, they do this, and it was pick 133. So we'll offer that. Trade accepted. Moving back, they did not take it. They took Derek Harmon.
The Bills took him. That's fine.
So this is where I would go Rebel. Guy's an athletic freak, tall, lengthy guy.
Do it.
He's coming back from an injury, but Washington does have a solid cornerback room right now with Lattimore, with Mikey, with Jonathan Jones, with Noah Iggy coming back. It gives Rebel's going to be an improvement, but he also has time to maybe sit. I feel like this is an easy pick for me, going with our boy here from ECU. And Drew, I know a lot of people are big on Hampton. I also feel like that's a bias from the area. You got Trev down there, who's also a Tar Heels guy.
He's nasty.
But again, this is a deep running back draft. And to me, the difference between a Hampton and some guy you're going to get in the 6th round is actually going to be, there's always those running backs who are taken later who look really good. Just saying. And Benjamin Morrison is back here again.
Get Travion Henderson.
You're gonna make, after talking bad about your boy Hampton, you're gonna make me take.
Yes,
I feel that's fine. I forced you into Revel. You can force me into Henderson.
All right, here we go. Now we got our home run running back.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gone that route, but we're a collective group here. Kyle Williams.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people were upset with us not to take Kyle Williams.
I know. Yeah.
I feel like I got the 1st pick, you got the 2nd pick, and here it is. Here's the audience, here's the viewers getting that 3rd pick there. And see, this is the value of trading back, right? You get 2 for the price of 1. We were able to get Revel, and we're going to get another player here at 133. So now it's a question of,
is there an edge upper?
There's another safety, Billy Bowman Jr.
from Boomer Sooner.
Yeah.
Jack Kaiser, flip the script and go get a linebacker. I'm just kidding.
Notre Dame, I don't know. I'm not in love with these names either that are available to us. And again, this is where those buckets start getting bigger. I don't, and I know from what I recall from Kyle Williams right now is that he's fast. That's what I remember right now. OG tell me Jack Kaiser is good. This bucket is large. I feel that's fair. We'll take Jack Kaiser. I'm good with that. We're gonna be moving. Billy Bowman's okay. JG as a Boomer Sooner, I wouldn't necessarily be running to the thing for him. I think that he's going to be fine, but I feel like he's going to be Percy Butler fine.
Oh,
It's like that.
so
Do you really
over
want
him.
Percy Butler right there?
I'm ready for him.
JG saying he likes Kaiser, so he's happy with that. So there we go. All right. So we've got so far our picks: Revel, Henderson, Williams, Kaiser.
Not bad.
I'm not hating it. I'm not
Where's
hating
our edge
it.
guy?
That would be the one thing that I feel like we're missing is an edge. And again, we're lacking edges here as far as this particular bucket's concerned. So I feel like that's going to be an area where we miss out on.
I was going to say, it looks like we're going to have to address that early then, huh?
It does look like if we're wanting to get an edge, but there was no edges available when we were picking.
That's right. That's true.
As the problem, there was no edges that were there. Let's check out the defensive lineman from Nebraska, Ty Robinson, 6'6", 310 pounds. No analysis on him outside of it. Looks like apparently he's been running in there. Defensive snaps, batted passes. He's played the A gap, B gap,
a lot of B
mostly
gap.
B gap, and over tackle. The last, so an interior offensive lineman. Not, I don't know that Washington needs another interior offensive lineman. Not that you having issues with that. Tight end, OG. Another one for the tight end.
Oh, he's pretty good. Where's he at?
Must be further down here. Tight end.
There he is.
Luke Lachey.
From Iowa?
I mean, you can't go wrong with Iowa tight ends. Iowa tight ends are pretty good. So he's 6'6", 250 pounds. Good length, height to play tight end. Likely to get drafted due to his pedigree.
He's not NFL caliber in either area in quickness or strongness or strength. So he's not a blocking tight end.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on this one, and I'm looking at that Miles Frazier, a guard.
Yeah,
but there was a center, Jake Majors up here. Michael Dieter.
Yeah,
definitely be improved on. Can definitely be improved on. So
7th round.
7th round, pick 245, our last one here. This is a flyer. Take another linebacker. Looks like there's a couple out there, or again, you get more.
Who has the best name?
I know, right?
Jaquavius Marks. There he is.
He's a running back, not taking a running back, but that is a great name. That is a great name. Kareem Reed out of Utah, another linebacker.
Okay.
Hey, look at that. 2 rewards. All right. Our draft A-, A+. People really loving that Kyle Williams pick. And then
not so much Jack
Kaiser. C+. Yeah, or the back end. And somehow we still ended up with an A-. All right. Last one. Swear to goodness, running it back one last time to see how
let's flip it upside down.
Runs. This one, we'll try to do our best to listen to you in the chat, but you need to do me a favor. You need to hit that like button, and you need to be subbed to the channel, and you need to make sure that you're sharing this with people so they can join us live here on Wednesdays on YouTube and Facebook, 7:30 Eastern. Last draft for the night starting. We'll be back again next week, so you can catch more mock drafts next week. And we're in the same position here where the names in front of us are not great. We don't want Burden.
We don't want. Do we want Mario Hampton right now?
We're lucking out here. Kansas City wants this pick.
Do it again? Who else?
I'm good with moving back. Let's move back. So we'll give them. We'll do the same deal. So trade was accepted. Let's resume the draft. Let's see. So Again,
They took
Hampton
Amarion
and
Hampton.
Nolan. Yep, that's fine. We can still go with Revel as our pick.
Trey Amos.
Nick Scorton is the best edge.
Go Nick Scorton. Go ahead right now.
Do people think Scorton is better than Revel or any of the other names listed above him? So 6'4", brings a bunch of moves to the edge spot.
He's feels like a player who can disrupt in the mass pressure, but won't be a high sack count rusher. That's fine if he can just put some pressure. We didn't even have that last year outside of Dante Fowler. So, and he barely got some.
Yeah, people lukewarm, people asking to trade back again. The next pick would be 37.
Nah, go get your edge right now. If we need an edge.
I feel like 37 might be moving it back too far. I do feel like we could get some good value out of this, though. There's still a lot of names who I like seeing here.
Landon Jackson.
I'm going to acquiesce.
Cam Scotabo.
Moving back. So pick 37.
Okay.
We'll trade them 31.
Damn, Kansas City again.
Okay. What else are they giving? We got a fourth out of the Kansas City one. Yeah, by the way, Gus Bus. A third rounder from next year is what they're going to give. All right, round 3. 74% chance to be accepted. It was accepted. Raiders, so we're moving back. And Revel's still there.
Didn't get him.
Now, right? Nick Iman Wari was picked at 33. So we'll be sad to lose him there. But
of course, Nick Scorton goes to Philly.
Yeah. Landon Jackson here is your next edge rusher. Razorback.
Yeah. Get him.
Fundamentally sound, alluring length.
Yep. Oh, he has 2 ACL injuries, high school and early college.
That's a bit.
First step is decent, but his speed is more build up.
Yeah, 6'7", 280 pounds. Anybody in love with Landon Jackson? If not, I'm gonna. That's true. That's fair. Locked on Law. We did mention about how he can.
Yeah, that's right. Who else is up there above Landon Jackson? Above
Landon Jackson, you got Tyleek Williams, Jaden Higgins, TJ Sanders, wide receiver out of Stanford. Trey Amos is, Landon all day long is what I'm hearing about Landon Jackson. That's what we're hearing. So we'll go ahead and draft him and keep moving forward. Picks 61 coming up here. Benjamin Morris, Demetrius Knight Jr., Jared Ivey out of Ole Miss,
Quinshawn Judkins from Ohio State. That's a home run running back.
I remember reading up on Ivy here. I wouldn't mind going edge myself on this one. But yeah, this is this one. I'm going to need some input here for those who could see the names. But Jared Ivey is
Ohio State running back right there.
Kyle Williams is still on there as well. What do you Judkins? You want the running back? Yep. If you can get at least one person to agree with you, I will take that.
Quinshawn Judkins, lightning to Travion Henderson's thunder in Ohio State. Anybody?
Yeah. No.
Anybody?
No, not seeing any love here.
Ohio State football then.
Kyle Kennard.
Is that Luke Kennard's brother?
He has good understanding of pass.
He's number 5.
See, explosive first step.
Shades of BJ Ojulari, and he's a free agent this year.
So I'm getting a no from that. A lot of people wanting Kyle Williams again. I think people are getting. This is Kyle Williams is the guy who gets pumped up late, and I just don't see it. I don't have 3 cone times locked on Law. but I'm looking at taking Jared Ivey here unless somebody convinces me not to. Going once.
Do Jared Ivey.
Going twice.
2 edges.
2 edges. Drafting.
Oh, we just missed Jack Sawyer too.
We did. We're missing a couple different people here. Picks 128 coming up here.
Kyle Williams.
And Kyle Williams still there. Again, I feel like people are over drafting him a little bit.
Trevor Etienne. Willie Lampkin. Take him. He's been linked to us already in this offseason.
Yeah, you feel that one's a good one?
Yeah, do it. He's
all right. I'm all about these. I'm all about these big guys being shorn up the front here. All right. This is me checking in on the size. 6 foot. Senior. Analysis trends. They don't have anything on this man. What is with this? What is with
why is Kyle Williams so great if you don't even have stats on him?
I will say we're picking at 133. We're picking at 133. JG, again, you just take the best player available. And at this stage, we're not even sure, right? We're not even sure. I am going to go ahead and take Kyle Williams. He's a fan favorite. 133 seems like it's a good spot to take him. 205 coming up here. Yeah, take the beef, right, Hermit? You got to take those big guys. You got to take the big guys. Any names stick out to you besides Jimmy Horn Jr.? We're not taking him.
Why? Can't Ron Jackson.
I wonder what value running back you're going to get at this spot. Let's
go CJ Dipper, tight end from Alabama.
Go where?
Tight end Alabama. He was way down there.
I do feel like we can get I do feel like this is where 205, you're going to get a value running back.
There it is. Oh, Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State.
Where's this?
Keep going. Right there.
Ollie Gordon. Ooh.
He was huge.
When healthy, he can be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Must retool his approach as a big back to carve out a role in the league. Probably not going to go that route.
Jonte Webster. He was okay at Colorado.
Some people are saying man. Go with the corner instead, and we'll take a running back later.
Can we take a safety?
Yeah, safeties are fine. Let's see who we got. Lampkin is being mentioned. Raheem Sanders. Where's Raheem Sanders? Let's take a look at him. He's a running back. Now here's a guy, 6 foot, 230 pounds.
He had a better year in 2022.
I think we wait on the running back, and I do feel like we will take Jalen Smith or Akili. What do you want?
Akili Arnold, safety.
He's listed a little bit higher. Actually, that's probably Hermit picking another beefy boy is probably right. That was probably right, guys. You're probably right. We should have.
Sorry, guys.
And see, now Raheem Sanders is still here. Corey Kiner. Nothing much from him. 5'7", first look. Cincinnati. 5'9", 210.
Yeah.
Probably is a lot.
Okay,
we're taking the name. We're taking the name. There you go. That's going to be our final draft of the night here. B+, A-, B+, A+, C+, and A for an overall of an A. So they're fairly happy with the selections that we ended up going with, although I feel like this is the weakest draft, despite the fact that we moved back twice and we're able to pick up some extra picks.
Yeah.
Draft night's going to be very interesting, and we will be there for it. We appreciate where you guys come in and give us all the content and comments to talk about. We appreciate you jumping in here. Hermit, Brock, JT, Tommy T, JG, Doug, Locked on Law, all the classics in here as well. Gus Bus Early, we appreciate you. And make sure you do hit that like button, sub to the channel, and share this with people. I was about to say favorite slogan from District Divided. Do check those guys out as well. But here you are, Ref the District, episode 220. I'm Nathan. That's Trev. Stoner will be back next week and will probably refute everything we said this week. But until next time,
draft Kyle Williams.
be a fan.